Welcome to the Ghostbusters Nerd Talk podcast. Conversation about all nerd culture from all the corners of the world. Now here are your two Ghostbuster hosts, Joe and Rain.
Hey, all you cool busters and bustettes. Happy Ghostbusters Day. I'm Ghostbuster Joe, and welcome to episode 73 of Ghost Head Nerd Talk. And now, introducing my buddy and yours, Rain.
Hello. Happy Ghostbuster Day.
Awesome. We got some awesome special guests in the panel today, and bring everybody in the room. Boom, boom, and boom. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks
You guys
for
all
having us.
excited about tonight's Ghostbusters edition of Ghost Head Nerd Talk? This is It's gonna be fun, guys. It's gonna be so much fun.
Is today special?
It feels a little
I hadn't-
special. I don't know.
This is just kind of like every day for me. That's
Right.
Yeah,
I
so
heard there
guys,
were people worried about these guys running everywhere in brown tan jumpsuits in New York. They were just freaking out, wondering what the hell was going on.
yeah. So guys, like, since now, like, how many months has it been since that Frozen Empire came out? Like, was it 5 months?
2? No, has it been that long?
It's been 2.
Yeah, been out 2? Yeah.
So, has it hit you yet that we
was March, right?
actually saw another movie in our lifetime with Ghostbusters besides it being an actual, like, one of the number sequels?
I mean, I gotta tell you, for me, it just feels like the party's fully in the middle now. For so long, it felt like Ghostbusters was this thing from our childhood that we were so tightly gripping onto. And because of, we'll give credit where credit's due, Phoebe shows up, and now the question isn't, when is the next chapter? It's like, is the next chapter going to be animated? Another game, another comic book series, the next movie. Being at the Firehouse today and seeing thousands of people, the brand, I think, is stronger than ever. I'm fully in the afterglow of Frozen Empire, I think.
Yeah.
just a subtle flex, man. You were hanging out where today?
Had to check in with the bosses. You can't be Long Island's total protonic champion and not report to the Firehouse on Ghostbuster Day. It's a quick, Long Island to New York City. It's a quick, like, 6.5 hour trip because of traffic. Totally worth it. But an amazing way to kind of celebrate the holiday.
Joe, what are we doing? We got to introduce our guests with us.
All right,
today,
introduce everybody individually. Introduce yourselves. With starting off, we already know our lovely purple-haired friend Rain. So, the guy and the DJ next to you, introduce yourself.
Oh, sure, that's me, I guess. My name is DJ Switch. I am the DJ and MC for the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. I do a lot of other nerdy events around the Portland area, and as of late 2019, I'm also a member of the Portland Ghostbusters, which has been a really cool kind of addition to my resume. I'm sure you all are familiar with the Portland Ghostbusters at this point, so I won't say too much about what the Portland GBs do, but suffice it to say, it's something I'm very proud of, and it's cool to be able to hang out on a podcast and actually talk about what the Portland team does, and also to get to see Simon, because Simon and I haven't seen each other in a minute.
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
Wow.
Your turn.
I'm Simon. I'm also a member of the Portland Ghostbusters. I think I've been a member since October 2021, so just before Afterlife's release. I mean, that's pretty much the main thing I do at this point is I work on my proton packs and I go out and do events. It's pretty fun.
He's our Afterlife enthusiast.
Yeah, I am weirdly obsessed with Afterlife and all of the gear involved with it. It's not my favorite Ghostbusters movie because that's, of course, the original, but it's definitely my second favorite. And I don't know, it just means a lot because it's the movie that got me back into Ghostbusters after a huge hiatus that I wasn't really into it. So,
And last but not least,
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, if you are deaf, dumb, blind, or God forbid from New Jersey, I am your total protonic champion. I am a member of the Long Island Ghostbusters. I keep the elite popping in New York City. I'm Charlie Rivera. Long Island Ghostbusters have been around since 2003, and I didn't prepare this speech just in case I needed it. About 8 years ago, I joined. I completely kind of changed the structure to focus on charity, and as you can tell by big platinum on my shoulder, I'm damn near the best at it in the tri-state area. All kidding aside, Ghostbusters has been part of my childhood. I, like everybody else, pretended I didn't like it for about 4 minutes, and then I dove fully back in. My daily driver is dressed up like a damn Hot Wheel, doing its best impression of a Cadillac, even though it's a Honda. The best thing I do has been in khaki or gray or some sort of flight suit, making a kid smile, raising money for an amazing charitable partner, being in a parade, just making someone question reality at the supermarket. Ghostbusters has been a big part of my adult life, and it was a big part of my childhood.
Awesome. And you know me, you love me. I'm Ghostbuster Joe, the founder and the CEO of the Ghostbusters, small town franchise in the middle of Pennsylvania, Pike County's own, the Ghostbusters of Pike County, GB Joe, 8 years running on the YouTube, Ghost Head Nerd Talk, or aka Ghost Head Talk. Been doing this thing, loving this thing since I was a little kid. Started this franchise all because I didn't feel like I had a home, and I wanted to start I got told I lived too far away from other franchises, so why not start your own in a little tiny town in Milford, PA? And I wrote three Ghostbusters fan fictions deep. I have been doing this thing forever. Loving this stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
You do it so well, pal.
Thank you, man. And I love it. I love helping. I love trying to support anybody in the Ghostbusters world that wants to show a spotlight and show love. You can come on this show and get nerdy with us. Hey, Vinny, welcome. It's like one of my big fans from Dudes at Ringside, Mr. Vinny. Love him. He's a good guy. Yeah. So, guys, like, did you hear the news about the Netflix stuff? Are you excited about that? That sounds really exciting.
I was on the road. I missed it.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see where they go with it, because I mean I was a little further back in my history. So I just turned 40 in April. And I remember being like 4 years old, and planning my afternoon naps before preschool, like around the Ghostbusters in the afternoon. I used to tell my mom every day, like, please get me up by 3 o'clock so I don't miss Ghostbusters. Like, that was my whole shtick. And so being a big fan of RGB, like, I'm really fascinated to see what direction this new Netflix series goes, because Netflix has a pretty solid track record of turning out very, very compelling art.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful about what
DJ, I think me and Rain are in the dark. What was the announcement? We all knew something was coming, but is it a continuation? Is it all new? What was the big drop?
Fresh teaser, as far as I know.
Oh, really?
They were kind of waiting for, today to like sort of like tease that officially Netflix and Ghostbusters are working on a thing together. It's been rumored for a while, and there's been a lot of kind of unconfirmed stuff flying around. So today was the confirmation that yes, there's an animated series coming later this year. It's going to be released on Netflix, and it will be a Ghostbusters animated series.
Sweet. Does it know what era it's in? Is it have the original guys? Or is it just so vague on that point?
Yeah, none of that's. They haven't really said.
Nothing's been
too much of
revealed
that.
yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, all we've gotten is it's coming, which we knew that like 2 years ago. So
I remember
that logo, placeholder, and that's it.
Yeah,
just reminding us about it.
We heard the rumors, and everybody's been kind of stirring about this. Like, hey, so and so got hired to work on a secret whatever, a ghost hunting project that they wouldn't say what it was or whatever. But no, today, it's actually I think yesterday was the official Sony Pictures release, the tease release of them. Sony's going to be working with Netflix to release an animated Ghostbusters project, and it's confirmed now. Nice. So we can all move on to speculating another level deeper.
I thought Jason Reitman had officially confirmed it at Ghostbusters Day 2022.
He said they were working on something.
Okay.
It's one of those things, and you know, like having my own entertainment career, I kind of like have a sort of a better, not a better, I have a kind of a more personal understanding of how this stuff works. A lot of times when you work on these bigger projects, there's so many moving parts that, like, even though you know, like someone like a Jason Reitman, like he'll know in the back of his head, like, oh, we're gonna get this done, but he can only say so much because how much of that's going to get done, or to what effect or what level that's going to get done, or whatever it is, you know, like you never know for sure because of how many moving parts, how many contracts need to be signed, how many people are involved in a big production scale like the, big scale production like this. So like just having the confirmation of like, hey, this is happening, and like Netflix has confirmed it, Sony's confirmed it. That's sort of what this release means. Yes, it's just a teaser image, but it's a teaser image that confirms everything that we've been speculating about up to and including Jason Reitman a few months ago, like you were saying, Simon, like kind of saying, hey, we're working on this.
Yeah.
And because the other thing that this teaser image means is the contracts are signed. This is done. This is happening.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no going back now.
Yeah. I always love when they use the word full development, because that means there's offices, there's bills being paid. They're at worst case scenario, they're hiring talent. All those decisions are made, as opposed to like in development could mean anything. You know, the Ghostbusters, the original version of Ghostbusters 3 from the late 90s is somewhere still in development, but full development I think has a little bit more weight.
It still has a little something by it. It still has a person kind of trying to do a script and they get pulled away. Like,
exactly.
Little cartoon guy
helping
trying to
live.
write and people are pulling his legs. Like,
There was a band called Nerf Herder years ago that put out a song called Ghostbusters 3, and the whole hook of the song is Ghostbusters 3, like you and me, it's never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. Right?
yeah, I remember that.
By the way, I apologize if you're demonetized now. But
Oh no.
my spectacular singing, right?
Like trying Rain knows. Joe has a nightmare of every night of waking up the next morning to a show with the triangle next to it. No.
But the song was written years and years ago, long before Afterlife or any of the sort of revival Ghostbusters stuff we're enjoying now. And the premise of the song is twofold. One, it's about, you know, like somebody that wants to date the guy singing the song, and he's like, it's never going to happen, just like Ghostbusters 3 is never going to happen. And so like they kind of married the two ideas together, and then go on this tirade about how Ghostbusters, like everybody's promising all this nonsense about Ghostbusters. You can blame it on Bill Murray. It's never going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Like it's all in the song. Ghostbusters 3 by Nerf Herder. Go check it out.
Oh God. Now we
If
got
Nerf is still around, they need a follow-up now. It should be some like hairy 40-year-old in a flight suit. I'm not saying I'm auditioning, but he should be a Puerto Rican champion. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, well, it happened. That should be the whole song.
And then the girl has 2 kids now, and you're kind of in trouble because she's now looking for you, even though she found out that you're the dad, but you didn't realize you were the dad.
Rain? I'll raise a little Phoebe or two.
Yeah.
I gotta argue with you. We haven't had a Ghostbusters 3.
I always assumed the video game was number 3.
There isn't a movie called Ghostbusters 3, and at this point, I hope they don't. I hope they never do a Ghostbusters 3 because I like where they're going. That's all I'm saying. Is technically,
I always assumed the video game was number 3.
Yeah.
Technically, the song is still correct.
My only pitch, because I sometimes I have a love-hate relationship with fan fiction. When it's done for fun and the sport, I love it. When it's done to compare and contrast to a thing that Sony actually makes, it frustrates me. But I do think the next installment should just be called Ghostbusters 5, because it would just be fun. We have Ghostbusters 1, Afterlife, Frozen Vampire, 5. It's 5. Number 5.
Is it called The Phantom Menace by then?
Oh my God, this is the best. Rain, let's write a script. We're going to cut everybody else out, but you and me, Rain, we're going to make some money.
Well, it's funny. I made 3. It literally there is 3 Ghostbusters, because there's Ghostbusters of Pike County 1, and it gives you the biopic how it happened. Part 2 is my friends have read it and they go, were you like were you fanboying of Back to the Future for part 2? And I was like, anniversary. Well, anniversary of Back to the Future made poor little Ghostbuster Joe go, Ghostbusters of Pike County, busting in time.
Am I the only one that wants to see Two Ghosts, Too Furious? Is that
Nice.
is that
No,
is that
the
just
name
me?
of my movie. I literally, my friends know I could do the epic 80s movie voice. And my friends like, Joe, do the voice. And I'm like, no, I'm tired today. Drink your coffee, Joe. Do the voice. Ghostbusters of Pike County, busting in time. And I was like, shut up. Leave me alone. I'm just living my life busting ghosts in my little town of Pike County, saving Pike. And then like I had a funny, stupid phrase. I go, if my proton pack blew up in the woods, would anybody hear it? My dad's like, honestly, Randy, they would never find your body. And I'm like,
I got this mental image of that big, heavy Cadillac trying to drift in the hills outside of Tokyo. Just all the way
wanna see
tumbling
them-
down the hill.
I just want to see them fight those very scary, somehow always wet ghosts. Like just the minute a ghost comes out of an old TV, I'm out. I love nope. Enjoy my proton pack. Enjoy haunting whatever you want to haunt, pal. I'm out.
there's a lot of ghosts in the Poconos that we can bust up here. No one knows. We have a lot of ghosts. I live in this town now for 17 years. I honestly have people thinking I'm really a buster. And I tell them I'm a Ghostbuster. They're like, Joe, I have a lot of ghosts in my town. In this town, I'm like, not enough traps.
That's a question we get asked a lot when we're out doing events.
Yeah.
Are we actually real investigators? We're like, no, technically, because we're affiliated with Sony and Ghost Corp, we're for entertainment purposes only. We don't do investigations. And
Which is
yeah, but
funny because
we get asked that a lot, though.
we have investigators on our team.
Yeah, we do. That's right.
I'm not
We
going
have
to name
Joss.
anybody.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's separate from our team, but yeah, Joss
Right.
and his wife, Bright Life Paranormal. Yeah.
Yeah.
else
Which-
does?
that's always really funny to me.
One of our founders is in the same boat. There's a group on Long Island called the Long Island Paranormal. It's Lippy, Lipi. Long Island Paranormal Investigators, I imagine. So one of our founders, Dimitri, was also a member of that. So when someone would come up and like, so I got a really naughty toaster. I'm like, go see Dimitri. You come to me for donations and anecdotes. You go like, man, again, I'm too Puerto Rican to die in the woods. It's not going to happen, ghosts. No. Long Island ghosts are like class 2s at best. I bust microwaves, I bust bad vibes, and I pimp off. Everything else, I'll lead to the old timers on the team.
That's kind of the funny thing for me whenever I'm doing events, especially when I'm doing events where I'm kind of playing a double role. There's been a couple of occasions where I've been there as DJ Switch, but then also as a member of the Portland Ghostbusters. And it doesn't happen a lot, but occasionally I'll get that, hey man, so like, do you guys really believe this stuff or whatever? And I'm like, no, I'm a grown man that plays with toys. Like, if you really want to go talk to somebody that investigates paranormal stuff, like, I'm not your dude. I'm just a goofball that never wanted to grow up. Sorry to disappoint.
Yeah. It's so funny you're from Long Island. I'll be on. Actually, this is dudes at Ringside News, but I'm bringing it over to the Ghost Head Talk because that's what I do. On this month, on the 22nd, I will be returning. I'll be doing the rock style. Joe Panther, sorry, this is the wrong show, Joe. Ghostbuster dude. I will be making my return to Long Island, aka The Rock would say. Finally, the Panther.
Full costume change.
Yeah,
For the
costume change. Yeah.
For the change, right? Finally, the Panther has come home. I will be returning to Long Island for an NYWC show on June 22nd for the tournament show.
Nice.
So if you haven't got your tickets yet, you're missing out on all the fun. Now we're back to Ghost Dinner.
Shameless promotion.
Yeah,
get
shameless
your plug in.
promotion. They let me put the poster on my dudes.
I like it.
You got to
more
get your
shameless
plug in
the
where you
better.
can.
Yes. But Ghost Head Talk is my original baby, so I have to keep the fans happy, keep the girls happy, the nerds happy. They just got mad and turned off the TV. Like, he's a turncoat, those red glasses. Ew.
I gotta be honest. In my experience, if you love Ghostbusters, you probably a little bit love pro wrestling. Like they do a little bit dabble more real Ghostbusters because Ghostbusters, the villain of the week. Like, you know, I've met the Bloodline before. I've met the EVPs before in episodes of real Ghostbusters. I think the crossover is vital. One of our best events is with VPW, which is a local wrestling promotion. And I'm always tempted to be like, how much? Like, wrestling gear is so expensive. It's like $1,000 for a nice set. I'm always tempted to be like, I can raise $1,000. Can I fully sponsor a wrestler, throw them in a flight suit, and they tear it off to reveal godlike physique and, you know, our logos all over their butt? It'd be wonderful.
I went to a show, a VPW show. Well, it was in July. It was like last year, a few years ago. We went there. It was when they were still at the Sports Center, and I went to my first show. And I went there before anybody knew who Dudes at Ringside was. I just showed up with my shirt and my red glasses. People were just staring at me and my former co-host like, why do we know those guys? And I'm just like, no one knows me here. This is awkward. Like,
back in 2018, there's a wrestling company called Kaiju Big Battle. It's the greatest concept ever. They dress up like kaijus. So they'll be, you know, the ring will be littered with cardboard city buildings, and they'll be American Beetle was who we saved. So everyone's kind of beating down poor American Beetle. He's the white meat babyface / patriotic Beetle. There's like a squid guy is beating him up. There's a barracuda girl smacking him around. They cue this video that we recorded right before. At the time, I had an old beat-up Volkswagen that we decorated as the Ecto. It pulls up, lights and sirens. We get out. Next thing you know, we're running down to ringside. Our tiniest member, Val, hops in the ring, saves the day. Huge pop. It was among the weirdest moments of my entire life. But I feel like I'd be on Godzilla's side, but King Kong, I got beef with. Those sort of events when Ghostbusters show up, I feel like it always somehow fits and never fits. Like if you're doing it like Star Wars, if we show up in Star Wars land fully suited and booted, they're gonna be like, yeah, of course they're here. Obi-Wan's ghost is causing chaos somewhere. So I like it.
Yeah,
I feel like first of all, if I ever feel bad about being a grown-ass dude who still loves Ghostbusters, I got to just remind myself that there's a whole wrestling company out there who is focused on pretending to be monsters kicking down cardboard cities. Like, that's just once you know that exists as a thing, like nothing that I do in my life makes me feel bad anymore. So that's amazing.
Same.
But I'm a little bit curious because, like, you know, I think a lot of the sort of Ghostbuster wrestling fandom crossover comes from when they were both at their height in the 80s and early 90s, right? That's when I was a kid. Like, that's when a lot of us were kids. But I really want to hear from Simon how Simon sort of got into Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Because like not for nothing, Simon, and I don't mean to call you out, but like let's put cards on the table. One of us is not like the others. And
yeah, I'm really young.
Yeah, and we're really not. So I want to know from you, Simon, like what got you into Ghostbusters? Do you have any experience with the cartoon series, the Real Ghostbusters cartoon? And like what was it that like caught your interest in the first place? Like way before you joined the team and became like one of us, right?
Yeah. I mean, I remember my mom showing it to me. I think I was maybe like 7 or 8, something like that. I remember her showing it to me, and I fell in love with it. I thought it was like the coolest movie ever at the time. I was a Ghostbuster for Halloween that year.
The original movie?
Yeah, the original Ghostbusters.
Okay. How old were you?
Like 7 or 8 when I watched it. For the
well
first time.
done, parents.
3 years ago. No, I'm kidding.
well done, parents. That's a lot. That movie at that age, that's awesome.
I mean, I can hear my mom's watching the stream. I heard her laughing from upstairs.
Make sure to tell her to subscribe. Hi.
Hi, Lisa.
And by the way, Lisa is also a member of the Portland Ghostbusters
Yes.
and another like excellent member of our team. And in fact, I think a
Amazing.
member of the leadership for the team too.
Yeah,
Yes.
she is. She's our con coordinator.
Yeah.
If you follow her Instagram and you've seen like our con booths the past few years, that's like her brainchild, and it's incredible.
She's
seeing it
amazing.
all. But no, I mean, growing up watching it, it was, of course, the library ghost freaked me out so much. I mean, yeah. But
you and everybody else, bro.
Yeah, that's like
that
no,
version, not my favorite place.
it's one of those movies that just captivated me. And I remember we tried finding the real Ghostbusters at one point, and it was nowhere to be found at the time.
Yeah.
My mom tracked down like a DVD copy of the first season on Amazon, and I watched that so many times. And it was just the Boogeyman episode is engraved in my brain. As people ask me what's your favorite real episode of the real Ghostbusters, and it's the Boogeyman cometh, like that episode just is stuck with me forever. But no, I just kind of over the years I just drifted away from it quite a bit. Like unfortunately, I outgrew it for a while. And then in 2021, Comic-Con was coming up, and I was telling my mom, like, we should do Ghostbusters because we had been talking about doing it for a while. And so we had found our flight suits at Goodwill. We got the spirit packs, and we suited up, and it was super fun to do. And then we met the Portland Ghostbusters at the con, and it was just, it felt, I mean, I don't know, it felt good meeting people who were doing it as well. And we joined after that and started doing events, and it became a part of our regular schedule. And now it's entire life. Like I'm in my garage right now, and like I can't look at a single inch and there's not a Ghostbusters film. Like
Wow.
it's engulfed my house.
The good way to
Not only
live.
that, Simon is an accomplished like horror cosplayer. He does some really good horror cosplay.
Yeah, I do cosplay outside of Ghostbusters, but Ghostbusters is really where my heart is because it's
Is it? Do you think it's the charity side of things that kind of like adds that extra level of heart to what you do as a Ghostbuster, aside from like your normal like non-Ghostbuster cosplay stuff?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, it's more so the prop element of it that really captivated me. Like my proton pack, like my HasLab pack right here is my favorite thing I own. Like I am constantly working on it, and it's
There
just
you are.
yeah. But it's just one of those things that I don't know. And yeah, the charity aspect is a huge chunk of it, and I feel good doing events because I know I'm doing all the charity stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly doesn't help, right? Or I mean, doesn't hurt.
It helps, yeah. And it's also, yeah.
I misspoke. I mean, it doesn't hurt that the charity thing is also like part of it, because that's like for me, I get that sort of like stage itch when I perform. So like, it's not like I need attention because I already get attention professionally. And so like when I signed up with the Ghostbusters team and I started working with the Portland Ghostbusters, it was like, oh no, I can do something where I'm part of a team and it's not all on me, and I can also do some good work in the process. So like there was a bunch of different reasons where, you know, working with the Ghostbusters started to sort of click for me. And I'm always kind of curious because we never really have these conversations. Like every time we get the team together, it's always like team stuff. So like, like being able to have this conversation about like, why are you here? Like, what is it about this thing that like brings everybody in? Because I think it's different for everybody. And I always think it's fascinating. Yeah. Sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to take over your show, man.
Oh, you know what, dude? You're not taking over anything. This is what I love. This is what I've always wanted to do. I started this show just to talk about Ghostbusters, and it just went from talking about Ghostbusters to wanting to help. As I did with Dudes at Ringside, I started to help professional wrestlers get their independent names known all over the world. Like they could be as a giant. I always tell them they could be a giant satellite with a pair of red glasses and an epic mustache. But now I feel that I want to slowly jump in with Ghost Head Talk with the same energy. I want Ghost Head Talk to be able to help Ghostbusters fans and Ghostbusters franchisees jump on top of my satellite dish and go to the atmosphere with dudes. at ringside and help you guys, so all of us know what we all do on our own level. And I hope Sony, hi Sony, we're live on YouTube, so I hope they can watch this. Ghost Corps, hope you're watching this. I want you guys to know that I've done this for 8 years and no one has ever given me a spotlight, and I've always wanted to work with you guys. And maybe you see me doing this, I love to be announced for you guys. If you guys want me to promote anything that you're doing, please let me and Rain know. I would love to help you in any way. This is my dream, to work in journalism and help in anything. And I just I love helping people. And if it's helping with a franchise, helping with a sponsorship, like if anybody's promoting anything, I love to do anything like that to help people. It doesn't matter if anybody takes over, one day I'll have to have somebody else go on with Ghost Head Talk when I'm not able to speak on camera anymore. So like, if you guys ever wanted to do it one day and I can't be here, I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link and be you and them. And this is what I love to do. I love everybody talking,
I mean, that's kind of the rub, though, right? Like, I think one of the things that doesn't get noticed is what happens behind the scenes. It's those sleepless nights finishing a prop. It's desperately worried that a fundraiser's not going well. It's the dynamics of inside the group when maybe someone's, regular life has hit a pothole and now you're at an event alone, right? Like my group tends to be smaller by design. The founders really do keep it a very, very tight group, and we've expanded out and we have other groups come and participate. But there have been times where we're doing a big fundraiser for an important cause, and next thing you know, you're driving at 5 a.m. to an event that no one else is going to be at. And you're setting up a pop-up tent and 2 tables of merch and props, and everyone wants a photo and everyone has a question, and the kids that think it's real, you want to give them those moments. You want to give them the magic that captured Simon when he kind of first saw that movie, Library Goes to Side. I think what happens a lot, at least for me, there are people that think they want in on this hobby. They think they want in on this version of charity, and they don't realize it sometimes can be an 80-hour addition to your work week. There are going to be times where you need to solder something. Doesn't matter that it's 3 a.m. And, for a lot of us, that involves very special significant others. That involves very special family to understand why on Christmas Eve you're going to run out for 2 hours because the little girl's not feeling well and loves Ghostbusters. And you're like, yeah, sure, I'll drive 3 hours to go spend 20 minutes to then head right back home to hopefully have some hot cocoa and some great family memories. That aspect of it, as difficult as it can be for us and for people like us and for a lot of people out there with similar groups, it becomes a self-motivating engine, right? It's not lost on you when you only got 2 hours of sleep, but it's always worth it. And it's crazy to me that for Simon, it was the movie. For me, it was the cartoon. For all of you, something at some point captured your imagination. And look at what we've been able to do, sometimes without Tony's attention, sometimes without Ghost Corp's attention, sometimes when other groups you see that get that attention, maybe you don't see what good they're doing, and you kind of, at least for me, have that selfish moment of like, have you even done a toy drive? Like, what is happening? That the optics fall apart. This is something so unique, and the fact that 40 years into its existence, I'm only now starting to meet most of people like me that suit up, that boot up, that do a little bit of good. It's wild to me that there are multiple Ghostbuster-based podcasts. It's wild to me that people like Joe and Rain are willing to share a platform to get attention out, to get other groups a spotlight. It's absolutely wild to me. And it's hard not to smile when you look out there and you're like, oh, we're legion. It's not a couple hundred of us. It's not a couple thousand of us. It's tens and tens of thousands of people that are either slightly committed, a little bit committed, or like seemingly us, fully committed and should be committed. if the mayor had his way. It's a special place. It's a special thing to do.
I had to message on my own on Twitch. The crying emoji. Thank you, GB Joe. The candle.
You know, it's funny, and Charlie, you said something that kind of I think touched on what is at the sort of at the root of all of this for us. It's that passion, right? Whatever it is that sort of found for us that passion in Ghostbusters. One thing we all have in common is A, the passion for Ghostbusters, and B, the passion to take that fandom and sort of like do something with it, whether it's cosplay, whether it's charity work, whether it's events and promotion, whether it's just for us that passion in Ghostbusters. One thing we all have in common is A, the passion for Ghostbusters, and B, the passion.
I see multiple packs in frame. Someone grab a pack. We got a ghostly entity.
I don't know what just happened.
I heard that too. I was like, wait a minute.
That was weird.
Disembodied voice of you.
Simon's ready. It's all right.
Let's go.
But like you were saying, like sometimes it's the late nights, sometimes it's the long hours. I specifically remember a local Comic-Con event in 2022 where I was left to man the place alone for like an hour or so, which was weird because just due to scheduling reasons or whatever else, staffing reasons, we didn't have the people to be able to go and host a slime making thing for the kids that one of our leaders does slime making. And Joanna, our the wife of our founder, Joanna, what's her title? Rain, is she president or co-president?
She's like an associate.
Charity coordinator or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Joanna runs the Portland Ghostbusters. Whatever her actual title is, Joanna runs the Portland Ghostbusters, and she also does slime making for the kids at the local Comic-Con event. And what that meant
we were at a booth together.
I was the only one available.
Yeah,
and Rain, I think, was still a rookie.
Yeah,
which means I had to be there because we can't leave rookies alone, per our group's rules and stuff. And so what I had to do was go to Comic-Con in Ghostbusters gear, take my jacket off so that I could host the Star Trek meetup as DJ Switch, and then immediately after the Star Trek meetup, put my jacket back on along with my mask to go back out to the floor to go man the Ghostbusters booth for a little while. And so like just having to sort of live that dual life in the same afternoon was wild, man. But like that's the whole point of what we're doing as Ghostbusters. It doesn't matter that like an hour before that I was on a stage helping to run a Star Trek thing. You throw the jacket back on, now you're a Ghostbuster again. You got to go do Ghostbuster stuff. That's the life that we all chose. There was so I told you all about the Ghostbusters cartoon when I was a kid, and I used to plan sort of my naps around that. I had a godbrother that was a few years older than me. He was 21 years old when he passed away in 1994. And I was just shy of 10. I was 9, almost 10, right? But a couple of years before he passed away, he had a record that he wanted to hand off to me because he knew I was a massive Ghostbusters fan. And so he gave me my very first record that I ever got in my life.
That's awesome.
And this was before I became a 25-year veteran DJ. So the first record I ever got is the one that drove me to this fandom. And kickstarted a record collection, kickstarted a passion for music, kickstarted an entire entertainment career. And there is at a certain point I have Ghostbusters to thank for that too. So, I was laughing when you were talking about that stuff, Charlie, because like literally everything that you were saying, even though you and I live on the opposite coast, it all just drives right home, man. Like everything you're saying, it absolutely applies to me too.
It was also very, for me at least, it's been a beautiful experience being able to kind of share those stories with people, right? Because most of our social media, it's smiles, it's helping kids, it's handing over novelty-sized checks. They don't see the like bloody feet. They don't see the like I left my wallet at the con and it is closed, and I'm on E. So like, let's see how much change we got to get the Ecto home. Obviously, Simon, there was a time where our phones didn't also work as debit cards. Those sort of experiences for me are the only thing that they're really second to is people like Simon. It is kind of that next generation that's literally leaving us in a way better position than we started. Again, 2003, the Long Island Ghostbusters wood proton packs, about as accurate as a blurry VHS copy can allow. And these things were exquisite. They were 45 pounds. Now I look behind Simon, and I'm not sure if yours, Rain, is a full build or if it's also an exceptionally rebuilt HasLab pack. But you see what these HasLab packs can do. The newest movie, Phoebe's rocking a HasLab pack. We're living in a world where we got 12-pound proton packs. Yeah, I'll do the walk for charity happily now. The 40-pounder is retired. It's locked up. Those things are, again, I hate to be boring and use the same term, but they're self-propelling. It makes it all worth it. And one day when I can't muster to throw on a flight suit, when I don't have enough time to get out to the event, I do really think this era of being a Ghostbuster fan is one of the most solidifying. I think we self-police better than ever, in as much as keeping out as much toxicity as we can. There'll always be some. That's just the way it's going to be. We all have different opinions. Again, Simon got revitalized by Afterlife, and people have the audacity to question where it belongs. You've had on this amazing podcast. You've had people who live and worship at the altar of 2016. Is that a movie that works for me? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's much more fun for us to do good in these wonderful uniforms and to talk about the stuff we love. All I want to do is go scene by scene with Simon about what about Afterlife made him just need that proton pack back, kind of compressing his spine. For me, I've had amazing conversations about Frozen Empire. That is the cartoon come to life. I am so sorry if that didn't work for you, because each time I saw it, my Cheshire cat smile got better. And I'll tell you the truth, better to love stuff. Every time, it's better to love stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was disappointed too when they talked about Frozen Empire and they were like, oh, it's fan service. Like, well, every sequel to a franchise is fucking fan service.
Exactly.
I mean, that's why, it's like, I didn't get that. It's like if you were expecting at the time, like Oppenheimer or, like with the Ghostbuster proton packs on it, I'm sorry, you're a fucking idiot. I mean, that's the point. The movie speaks to the people who love it, but also it was open enough to bring more people in, because I have people who've never watched any of the movies before that told me, oh my God, this new movie, it looks really different. It's different than what I would see, and it really appeals to me, because that first trailer we got looked like it was like a disaster movie or a bit of a horror movie vibe to it. And I think it really spoke that
God forbid horror movie.
There are 3 absolute truths from Afterlife. 1, if you have a soul, you cried. Just either at the excitement of seeing the logo again or that beautiful magical ending that was arguably so saccharine it could have given you a cavity.
All right, Grandpa, calm down.
Number 2, Phoebe is to be respected and worshipped and protected for the entirety of her career, because Phoebe Spangler is one of the greatest add-on characters to a franchise of all time. And 3, the opening sequence, if it didn't get your heart racing, I may have to bust you because you're dead inside.
Yeah.
Those are facts. It's not to be questioned. It's not whether or not you like the aspect ratio of the film. If you didn't think Garaka looked amazing, I got bad news. You got
welcome.
There we go.
Oh, we got another friend. What's going on? Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Ghost Head Nerd Talk. Introduce yourself to my Ghost Head family.
Well, I'm the one, the only, the illustrious TikTok Ghostbuster from TikTok. Hi.
Welcome.
TikTok, is that a
Yeah.
Is that like a watch or a?
Yeah, it's kind of like a gold collectible watch you get once every 40 years.
Is that when you retire as a Ghostbuster?
Yeah, it's legit.
That's what they give you when you retire. Yeah.
Yeah, after 40 years, this is it, and it's gold watch. Boom.
Awesome. So we're talking about what like you love. What's your love? Like, what's your favorite like thing about Ghostbusters? Like, what was the first thing you ever remembered as being a Ghostbusters fan?
It's the ability to take on the unknown, no longer to be afraid of the dark, and to be curious about it instead of being afraid about it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes shit happens. Somebody's got to deal with it, and who are you going to call?
Very poignant.
Great. Awesome.
So, but yeah, no, I think it got my fear over when I was young. It completely disrupted my fear of the dark and made me curious about it. And it's just it's a nuance that no other movies really touched on, is to take on the ability of dealing with the things that go bump in the night and having some humor behind it. And when you get older and start realizing what the movie's about, it makes it that much more delectable. So
I saw Aykroyd do an interview years ago where he talked about how the thing that sort of set the Ghostbusters apart at the time in the mid 80s was that you had all these like horror movies coming out and ghost movies coming out and all these things where people were going to the movie theater and they were afraid and they were seeing like the movie Aliens, for example, or Predator or whatever, where they're being hunted. And the Ghostbusters sort of flipped that on its head and went, no, we're going to give the humans the tools to fight back.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
It was for its time, it was a crazy concept, but obviously there's something to it because it brought us all here. So
yeah. Well, and you haven't seen a movie since, have you? Like that?
No.
No.
I just haven't seen any movies since. I stopped
They
watching
nailed it.
movies in 1984.
This is perfect. I shan't be needing another.
Exactly.
Which, thankfully, for the events that led up, we're actually calling it Ghostbusters, not Ghost Breakers, because of all the legality from the original. So thank God that changed.
Rain. We're not talking about that. We're not going to talk about. We're not talking about the Ghost Breaker. That's not.
Is it bad that I don't hate Ghost Smashers?
Ghost Smashers.
Smashers.
Ghost Smashers is kind of cool.
There's T-shirts about that on the internet. Have you guys ever seen them?
Yeah, IDW comic. They have a team, the Ghost. But also, like, I do feel like if it was called Ghost Smashers, we would have wound up with like Arnold Schwarzenegger is.
Oh God.
Jr.
With the horrible puns of "You're not going to ghost me."
Now I'm back in.
Can you guys imagine an 80s? Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, I was saying that pitch from the TikTok and Ghostbuster was enough. Arnie for Ghostbuster 5. Ghost puns I think we need. Him and Stevie just going tit for tat.
I don't want to see a Sly Stallone in a proton pack. I don't want to see.
How dare you?
This is the greatest episode on Spotify. Tomorrow.
Him just trying to like negotiate with the ghosts. If I could change, if you could change, then we could all stop wanting. I'd watch it. You know, what you have to do is you have to localize it. It would have to be the Philadelphia branch, just a bunch of meatheads in like a H2 Hummer. It would be amazing. You might scoff. You would be there opening day.
I'm picturing Son of Gozer played by Dolph Lundgren.
Ooh. I'm going to break you.
Give me your hand.
I'm fuzzy on the whole good bad thing. What do you mean don't cross the streams?
we can make this work. Just get the It's Always Sunny cast. Sly Stallone.
You know, as much as I don't want to see Sly Stallone in a proton pack, I absolutely want Danny DeVito. Is that weird?
Would you want to be a bad guy?
No, I want to.
I would love to see Danny DeVito go up with Slimer.
Oh God!
I mean, they're basically the same person.
Exactly.
At this point,
Slimer as a child is just good old Danny DeVito.
I'm picturing Danny DeVito from It's Always Sunny, but like he puts the proton pack on, it still drags along the ground behind him.
just
Instant
sparking.
flop
Like,
back.
Sparks trailing.
he puts it on and he's just like, oh fuck. And he just falls. He just falls backwards. He's like, I got this. Make this the bring.
It's like when a turtle's trapped on its shell and it can't roll over.
Oh God.
They're all walking away all defiantly, and he's like, guys, damn it, guys, come back. Come back.
Yeah,
I
no,
can't get up.
be
I
great.
can't get up.
Like you legit
Story.
cast of Taxi in there. You got Christopher. Oh God. Jeez, what's his name? No,
Christopher Lloyd.
Doc from Back to the Future. There, Christopher Lloyd and Tony Danza as Ghostbusters. That would be awesome.
Oh,
Marty, it's a class 5. We gotta go, Marty. I can't. By the way, I apologize for that atrocious Christopher Lloyd impression. But
Never apologize.
I
We
can't.
learned nothing. Never apologize.
Here's the problem. As much as I love Ghostbusters, Back to the Future is a perfect film. It's the only example we have of a perfect film. Ghostbusters, I love it, but if Back to the Future is a 10, Ghostbusters is a 9/9. But you know it goes. You can't fuck with Back to the Future. Christopher Lloyd at this point never needs to work again because he'll be forever Doc. Like that's just.
Hey, it's not just the 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters, one of the best films that's at least a 9.9. But if you want to go in competition, Ghostbusters versus Back to the Future, I would have to say Ghostbusters 2 is a solid 11.
yeah.
Are we really going on? I know it's Ghostbuster Day.
Who
We
invited
are-
the TikTok guy? Why is
Hold
he
on,
here?
let me do a dance.
It is.
He's part of the community. He's like a fake. If you guys don't know, he's very big on TikTok. This
There
guy's
we go. There we go. There's just gonna be.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
Joe failed on. I'm like the Paul Heyman of the podcast of Joe Panther Variety Show. That's me. I'm like the Paul Heyman. I book the episodes. I keep Ghostbuster Joe happy. I give him bags of Skittles and things of cherry Pepsi, so he smiles and just give me that serious look, and I have to go. I have to stare and point at him like this. I have to hold all Joe's belts. He's got a lot of titles, a lot of international championships. I have to keep screwing the wall. I have to remind Ghostbuster Joe that I was here first. So
What?
no, like you know.
What am I missing here?
This feels like the new bloodline, and I'm not. I feel like Tangaloa is going to show up. What is happening? Back to the Future somehow came up. It's not even the best time travel movie. It's
Even the background change.
Bill and Ted Day Eve. Tomorrow is Bill and Ted Day. And you have the audacity.
Listen to me,
mention
Long
that
Island.
hack.
I will cut you.
Doc Brown needed a whole car to travel in time.
I will reach through this computer screen and I will choose violence.
Hey, and then we started going after TikTok, and since we're doing the bloodline, acknowledge me.
I still have a.
I have a question though for everyone. Since we're all really big fans of the movie, what are you hoping that the franchise will bring in the future? What are you looking for? Or hope that comes along?
Sorry, which movie was this?
For Ghostbusters. No,
right.
to the future.
Okay.
Back to the Future 4.
Right.
4.
Hey, Back to the Future, just recast it with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. We're set to go.
Oh,
All right,
no.
well, that's my time, everybody. I'm going to get out of here then.
All right, see you later. Good night.
no.
Once again,
That's
a
Tom
fun to be
Holland
like
and
a
Robert Downey
senator.
Jr.
I don't
Oh
know
my
about
God.
you. I don't know about you guys, but Rain, phenomenal question. However, I'm gonna be annoying. I think the theft of joy is sometimes expectation. I think one thing I've adopted as I kind of round the corner to 40, I don't even watch trailers anymore because I don't want to start crafting a film that no one's like consulting me on. So if the next film winds up being like Phoebe goes to college and she brings her proton pack and she makes wacky friends at a sorority and they fight ghosts together, hell yes! Like I want to watch the hell out of that movie. Also, as well, if it's like Paul Rudd, will he finally propose? And it's a Ghostbuster rom-com. Guess who's going multiple times in 4DX? Like, oh, he's proposing. Whoa, the chair's going crazy. I am so pot committed that I'm going to play the safest bet. I'm just going to be that guy in the very unlikely chance they do something that just feels inauthentic and wrong. I'll Monday morning quarterback it. And be like, it's weird that whole movie was about Slimer. That was strange. Just Slimer
is it
on like
me?
a romantic date for 2.5 hours. I'm like, the budget of this did not seem appropriate for 120 million.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Funny if they called it Buster U. If they made the movie by Phoebe.
I would like it known that I own the concept of Phoebe going to college to bust ghosts. That is, I own that, Sony. So send a check my way. But Ghostbusters U is great.
Eric's in the back going, son of a bitch.
As long as it's done in the style of Animal House, that would be great.
Well, all I could think is this: when I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife, immediately I started throwing like I wanted to throw my set, but I was like, nah, it's nice. I've had it for 4 years behind me. But I just threw like my basket over to this side and I kicked my change jar, but then I quickly grabbed my foot because I realized I didn't have my shoe on. Because everything in Afterlife brought me to tears because I wrote a script about a small town in the middle of Pennsylvania that nobody knew where it was, and then all of a sudden the Ghostbusters franchise popped up and chaos started happening in this little town, and all these little small town folk were going, nah, just the wind. And I'm going, damn, did Jason Reitman or did Sony see it on Facebook and not flag it and read it?
They didn't. They did not see it. They do not. I imagine they avoid all of us like the plague with our ideas. I do feel bad that I didn't answer the question. So I will say what I don't want. What I don't want is for us to veer out of the Spangler family trilogy. I do hope the next one, if anything, puts a kind of bow on this found family solidifying itself. And as opposed to the internet, I do not need Phoebe to be in any romantic relationship. Happy for that character with whatever. I've read the script. I've heard the interviews. People who are adding romance, like her in podcast in the first one. Nope, not at all. Her and Ghost Lady in the second one. Also, no, not at all. If you want to add that subtext, God bless. What I do want for that found family, I would really sincerely love it to be fully solidified. They are the Spanglers. That was made clear in the last one. Now let's have them as that kind of full functioning family. I think we've moved past the like, oh shucks, they don't trust me. Like, they very much trust you. Let's finish this trilogy strong. And I hope they lean into whatever their original vision was for kind of what this big chapter of Ghostbusters is going to be.
I think it's a really like standard film sort of format, and it's one that honestly doesn't need to be messed with. You discover the legacy, you embrace the legacy, and now you pick that legacy up and you run with it, right? They did the same thing with the Skywalkers twice. Excuse me. They did it twice with the Skywalkers, 2 different trilogies, right? So I think you're dead on, no pun intended, when it comes to what to do with the Spangler family. The minute they sort of embraced the name and embraced their identity as the Spangler family at the end of this last film, like, okay, now
when it comes to
Does the disembodied voice come back?
It's that.
he's leading the witness, I disagree. I think they should change it up 100%. I think there should be a throwback, a nod to the Spangler family, what they're doing in New York, but we need Ghostbusters worldwide. We need
that's the TV show.
It's something else.
That's the TV show. That's how you do a whole. That's like how they're right now in Star Wars. They're like, get the Skywalkers out.
Well,
I'm totally fine with that.
You think they're ever going to bring the movie franchise into a TV that's not a cartoon? No, they're never.
I do. I think cinema's dead.
They could.
I thought they said they were doing a live action.
Like
and Netflix.
They've talked about it.
Yeah. Like they've been talking about Ecto-Force for the last 10 years? So
I think the real future of Ghostbusters is out of the cinemas. I just don't think the cinemas are going to last another 40 years in the way we know it. I think it's going to become like Broadway, I think we're going to periodically get a CG, beautiful, ridiculous thing. I think we're going to get more -1s. I think we'll still get Ghostbuster movies, but I think the real propelling force is look at what you can do on television now. Look at the sort of stories you can tell. And I think the perfect opportunity currently lies. I don't know if anyone else took this away, but the fact that the sign got knocked down in the last movie, I imagine we're going to get a slight update. I don't think they're going to change it like visually. I think the type of sign will change, and I think it's going to lend itself to a Ghostbusters worldwide. But think of the potential. Every season could be a different franchise.
Oh,
Every,
man.
you know.
It would be so exciting to see that, but logically, yet again, like in hindsight, TV, although thunderous right now in this productivity and Netflix and so on and so forth, right? I think they were talking about doing Ecto University, which is all puns intended to our previous conversation, but they gave that up, and now they're wanting to do something different. That Ecto, that Ghostbusters University thing is kind of playing on the whole Extreme Ghostbusters with Egon's family going in, starting to instruct people at the local university, stuff like that. I think that would have been cool. But I think unless we get a huge switch of where everything turns into this like VR notion, I think cinemas are still going to run strong. They're still going to make movies. I think, and I've been stating this for a long time with a lot of my viewers on TikTok, is the movie felt like it was supposed to be 2.5 hours long. I think the executives cut it back to 1 hour 45, and they reaped the consequences of that because it was a beautiful story. It was very heavily saturated. I wanted to see more. It left me longing. But, you know, I'm excited to see what they do.
I, for myself, I feel like it's going to, I think cinemas will be the same, you know, but I feel like you can tell more of a story through like Netflix or through episodic content. You can get more story in there versus trying to pack so much into a 2-hour time frame or a 2.5-hour time frame. And it's usually what we're always left longing for more. We want more. Everyone kept complaining how Frozen Empire great, but they wanted more battle at the end and they wanted more of what's going on. So I think that's where TV can really lend to that kind of aspects. There's so much more lore to, you know, than the original movie. I mean, it was perfect for its time because that's all it needed. But now that it's been so expanded upon and it's such a larger universe, you know, we want more of it. And I think TV really lends to that.
Yeah.
Though I did want to know Simon's take on it, since being the younger generation, you know, where do you see it going? You know, since you're more tied in obviously to the kid, like your generation that's growing up with it versus us old folks now.
No pressure, Simon, but you're now representing everyone under 25.
Yeah, you're representing everyone now.
Just you by yourself.
It's just like we're all just like, well,
but listen, no pressure.
We all just adjusted our belts, cut a fart, and just pointed at you.
Yeah, we're just silently judging. It's okay.
We're just staring into your beautiful eyes, long hair, and just like, go get it, boy. Your turn.
So, Simon, what do you think?
Give us another Ghostbusters movie that concludes the Spengler trilogy. I am so attached to that, just those characters, and I love them so much. Bring back the OGs for a little bit. Have the very end, ideally what I want, have the very end show Winston like at a table or something, and you see all of these franchise patches scattered across the table. And it sets up bringing in other franchises. And then we have a TV series after that last movie that showcases like all of the franchises, like busting ghosts.
That'd be cool.
Go worldwide. Like that's ideally what I want.
Simon, I think you touched on something that is actually kind of a sticking point for me, if like whatever the next film is going to be, and it's the OG Ghostbusters. I want to see the franchise allow the OG Ghostbusters to move on in a meaningful and direct way, and I don't mean move on like off screen where we don't see it, like we almost got that in this last film. They had that moment between Ray and Winston where it's like, these are supposed to be our golden years, man, but I love this stuff. And it's like, I know. So go do what you love. You know, like they had that moment in the like the stairwell or hallway or wherever it was. They were having that little one-on-one conversation. The original cast needs to be allowed to move on camera in film, so that we as fans and the fan base can move on and allow the franchise to continue to grow without the OG Ghostbusters. Not to say that they can't come back or can't have cameos or can't still be around or whatever, however they decide to write those characters. But I think that there's something really powerful and important on the sort of the other end of things when it comes to retirement and being allowed to like move on with your life and being allowed to do other things. Venkman, like, never mind Bill Murray barely wanting to be there. Venkman clearly barely wants to be there.
Right.
And like you can see it in the character that they wrote of Venkman. And for this last, honestly, the last two movies, but especially this last one.
Even from day one, he was never like, he was more so in it for the money, like from the first movie.
He never lived in the firehouse, which I loved. I love that.
Yeah.
At the tippity top of Ghostbusting, he was like, I got to take 2 subways to get there, so don't leave without me because I'm not. Or it's like, can you bring my suit? The thing I love about what you said, that concept of Batman beyonding the OGs, this idea of like Winston's the man who kind of oversees it all. We nailed it. Like Winston is so ready to never put on a flight suit again. Venkman, as much as that character, and I do think it is in the writing, that character has never been like, this is going to be my identity.
Right.
He has an office in the tech building, which I thought was such a subtle. He's the 9 to 5 guy. Him showing up at the firehouse was him like, I'll do overtime this one time. We all know that guy who is a fundamental piece of it, but does not need to physically do the gig. Ray, I think we had a beautiful lesson. I think you roll with it. And I think the way you do that cinematically, you have some stuff is about to pop off, and it's just Ray throwing Phoebe a trap, throwing her a PKE. You got this, kid.
Yeah.
I'll be the man in the chair if you need it, but you won't need it.
Yeah.
Like there is something so magical about if they accomplish nothing else with this new trilogy, if they make it very, very clear that Ghostbusters is bigger than the characters that made it breathe, I think that is a miracle. I think Extreme Ghostbusters was a great prototype for it that never fully achieved what its goals were. I mean, Back in the Saddle, those episodes are absolutely incredible for anyone who loves Ghostbusters but hasn't seen those 2 episodes of Extreme Ghostbusters. If you love the original cartoon, it's amazing. But it does the same thing. It ends with like, nah, you kids need to do the heavy lifting. We'll be here if you need us. It's that graduation. Maybe that's the name of the next movie. That idea of like, no, the Spanglers got it. And when the Spanglers are done, the next group will have it. And when they're done, the next group will have it. And opening it to that international that I think we all want. For me, it's a little selfish. For me, it's like when they were going to the tech building, I'm like, please be on Long Island. Come on, Long Island. L to the O to the N to the G. Like there is something about kind of legitimizing further what we do with our special brand of insanity. You know, to the N to the G. Like,
oh, good. It's not just me.
I'm so sexy though. That was a delicious voice I just heard.
I am getting concerned, Charlie. You seem to be very attached to this Phoebe goes to college thing, graduation and everything else.
I'm actually talking about McKenna Grace. I don't want her to put all of her eggs in this acting basket. I get concerned about our favorite little Buster.
I'm trying to picture in my head a character like a Phoebe that barely tolerates people to begin with, joining a sorority. Like I'm still kind of hung up on that, man. I don't know if that would pan out for someone like a Phoebe to have to be like social and around people a lot.
No, you got to get it soaked in where it's like the Skull and Bones kind of thing, where something weird's going on in campus and they're trying to get her in the cult. Perfect storyline right there. Right,
You know,
Charlie?
they always say sororities are like a cult. You have to make like this sorority, like there's a sorority. What's that movie? Everybody loves it with the girl that she's like. Oh, what's that movie? And I'm gonna.
House
It's going
Bunny? That's the only
Yes.
sorority movie I know.
Make it like a
Was
House
that the
Bunny.
movie you were thinking of?
Yeah, make it like House Bunny. That one sorority is like Phoebe joins a sorority, but all the girls are like cutesy, bubbly. We're a sorority, and then Phoebe's just there in the corner, like, I'm a nerd. Why am I in this sorority?
Joe, I hate
She's-
to do
He
this to
is
you.
master of like dad jokes, right?
He a little bit made that show with Wednesday.
Yeah,
I literally
You're
was going to
kind
say
of
that.
describing Wednesday. I don't
That's
think
Wednesday.
people steal your ideas. I think you wait long enough to trick us into thinking you're like, I got this great idea. So this crazy inventor, he makes a time machine out of a DeLorean.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. Wait a minute. You made a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Have you guys seen the Back to the Future play
I
yet?
love
That
this
thing's
show
phenomenal.
so much. Let's do this tomorrow.
Like, have you guys seen the Back to the Future play yet? Anybody has not seen it? It's so awesome.
I haven't seen the musical.
It's amazing. I saw it. Rain knows I posted it on the Ghost of Nerd Talk on Instagram. If you haven't followed us yet, yeah, I was there with my sister. It was like a late birthday, late Christmas present. We went and I was like, oh god, it's gonna be one of those musicals. He's walking like Marty, we did it, and no, it's actually like random songs, and it has lots of interesting. And it's such a good way they did it, and it gives it life, and it's. I'm not gonna say anything. It's just really, really good, and like it shocked the hell out of me. Like
it's going on tour at the end of the year, so.
What was that?
It's going on tour at the end of the year, so that'll. I know it's coming to Oregon in December, so I'm really excited for that.
Oh, you should see it definitely, and you should bring Rain so Rain can be like, "Look, I saw it too."
Oh, I thought we were talking about He-Man.
He-Man musical is coming next fall. Don't worry.
I haven't seen the Back to the Future musical. I have not seen the Beetlejuice musical.
I want to see that,
which I've heard nothing but amazing things about. I know that people that are in the sort of professional stage production world get real weird about recording their stuff and putting it out into the world for the world to see, because they feel like it takes away from like actual ticket sales. And so like I'm just kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that we someday get the Hamilton treatment where
they will.
Like they might eventually maybe put out a production that we can all watch.
Use the Hamilton timeline because they've already recorded it. Like every New York, and they'll do a nice recording. You just have to give it the what was Hamilton a decade? They let it.
Was it that long? I thought it was like 5 years or something.
5 years, yeah.
5 years sounds more accurate. Give it a few years. They'll do.
But
They
also,
love money.
they dropped Hamilton during the international health crisis that we're not supposed to talk about in 2020.
Oh,
so, you know, maybe that had something to do with it too. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll make like a movie version of it. That would be like Back to the Future, the musical, the movie. That's a way to that's a way to not break anyone's heart while simultaneously a little breaking a heart.
I have some news for you. They already made that movie. It's called Back to the Future. It came out a long time ago.
I remember very little singing. I remember a couple of musical numbers.
It's funny.
I remember.
It's funny you should say
you're
that.
You're going to tell me they made Rocky the musical the movie. Get out of town.
Yeah, Ghostbusters, but it's in Spanish. I told this to Rain like a few episodes ago.
What?
It's in Mexico. Yeah. Look it up. It's in Mexico. They had a full musical of Ghostbusters, and I think Jason from Ghostbusters News talked about it on his show. It's like it was all in Spanish, and it's a musical.
It's super trippy. Like I remember looking it up like a while ago because I had like this idea like a few months ago, like what if there was a Ghostbusters musical? And I looked it up, and oh my god, it exists, and it's like really good.
It has to be illegal though, yeah. Sony wasn't like, let's go to.
It might have been.
How are they going to go after him in Mexico then?
I don't know. I don't know about illegal, but certainly immoral.
Can you really see? Do you see Sony people with their fans in Mexico? Like, damn, where's this building? Man, it's hot here. Fuck.
Once I saw American Psycho the musical and loved it, all movies I think you should adapt to a musical.
Immediately, I could hear "Hip to Be Square," and I had to immediately push mute after I stopped listening to it on the show. Nope. Hip to be.
So bad. I like musicals. I've never been a fan, but I'm Canadian. What do I know?
Well, it's known, and by the way, speaking as a 25 plus year veteran professional disc jockey, it is widely known that no one in Canada likes music. Like that's just
It's true.
it's just accepted as fact.
We don't even like Nickelback. Justin Bieber don't like Justin Bieber. Like you guys can have them.
But you
Well, they
guys
left.
love
That's-
Bags of Milk.
You know
They-
what's funny?
They
What?
left Canada for that reason. It's
And
because
that's fine.
You
Yeah.
know what's funny?
The only wind and sounds of birds.
But here's the
You're
thing.
gonna laugh, TikTok Ghostbuster. I grew up on Long Island in Central Islip, and the only way I knew about Canada is watching. You can't do that on television because I thought it was filmed all these years. I thought it was filmed in freaking Orlando, Florida, and then I find out somebody told me, dude, you know it's filmed in Canada. I was like, what? That movie, the whole show filmed in Canada was based on TV and no one knew. And watching much music. I watched all the much music that was in Canada.
Yeah, no. Secretly, Canada's just Minnesota. Everybody knows this, right? There's no country.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Minnesota 2.0.
Yeah. Exactly. It's really
Everybody, my friends are like, why are you talking with a weird accent? I was like, don't you watch much music? It's in Canada. And you don't watch MTV anymore? Oh, much music is much better. The music, the people are, and the girls are pretty, you know? It's
I
all
love
like,
the fact that Joe thought it was a conspiracy, that they were like, don't let anybody know it's from Canada. I'm pretty sure there's Canadian flags behind every scene of both of those programs.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with that little puppet with the cigarette in his head. And I was like, how does he keep it lit?
At the sock. Awesome.
Yeah. How does he keep that thing lit? He's going to catch on fire.
Actually, I'm really now you guys got me curious. Speaking of like shows that were filmed in Canada, Simon, has your mom ever sat you down and made you watch Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yes.
She didn't, but I did it on my own.
You did the original Are You Afraid of the Dark or the new like
Look who he did
reboot? 'Cause
ring.
The
The original.
reboot was good, but it was not the same.
I haven't seen the reboot. I've heard it was good, but
It's
no,
good.
the
I liked it.
It was
But
on
yeah,
Netflix.
What?
Yeah, the original
Yeah,
was on Netflix for a while, and I watched quite a few episodes of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
the original. So, dude, that was what we all like grew up on in the 90s. Was Are You Afraid of the Dark and a lot of that kind of stuff. Where like that was our version of horror.
I was
Made
more of a
for-
Goosebumps kid.
Made for TV, made in Canada.
Yeah.
So like all of my quote unquote real horror fan friends were like, "Ha, that's cute," and I was like, "No, you guys, it's scary." And they're like, "Yeah, it's all right, sweetie, go sit in the corner."
No, like, when we used to watch it up here, it used to be Goosebumps first, then Are You Afraid of the Dark afterwards.
Nice.
I just found Goosebumps was really good. Are You Afraid of the Dark was like 1 in 5 was really scary. The rest were horrible storylines,
Yeah.
like nostalgically horrible. You know,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Not unlike Canada.
No.
Actually, it's just as a country.
Yeah. Sorry.
I will not disparage Canada. They gave us Kenny Omega and delicious strong beer. I will
Hey, and
not. I will
Deadpool.
stand with Canada.
City of the Hitman, okay? Kenny Omega's nice, cute, whatever, but it's all about Bret the Hitman Hart, Natalia, Harris.
Yeah.
I just want to hug Natalia. She looks so nice. She looks like she smells like maple. Like,
Jinder Mahal's from Calgary. I wrestled with him, so good times.
Nice.
oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, you know I was a former professional wrestler, Joe.
No, you never see, we
Yeah.
never really spoke.
I wrestled with all those wonderful people many years ago.
Did you
Well,
try
need
to
speak
hinder
my,
the
my
gender?
red glasses friend, dude. Come on,
I-
Dudes at Ringside podcast one day.
Stunnering Jinder.
Oh,
So-
you can always come on. Wait, come on. Message Dudes at Ringside podcast on Insta. You could be a guest on the internationally known. Be like,
Yeah,
Boom.
I can gonna be a washed up has-been.
Dude,
I
you
was,
don't know. Have you watched any of the episodes of Joy's at Ringside?
Oh,
Interview
no.
me. It's been
Like,
impressive.
honestly, like pro wrestling, it's like I even delved on TikTok a little bit with wrestling talks. The fandom is so toxic now, and everybody's a smart mark. And I'm like, no, I'm just gonna shut my mouth and go in my corner, stay Ghostbusters, and just not give my opinion about stuff.
That's
Yeah,
a
that's
really, really rough day on the internet when you're escaping a toxic fandom by leaning further into Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That's that's rough, man.
Well, it's
Um,
I called the whole CM Punk thing, and people were just like, "Who are you?" and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I can explain myself, but I don't need to. I
Yeah.
just I can see exactly what's going on here, and people were just losing their minds. And I'm like, okay, well, cool story, but that's the way it works.
Ironically, I take a Canadian approach to all of that. I insulate myself from like people sharing negative thoughts about stuff that they allegedly don't like is the weirdest trend. Be like, you know what? I'm allergic to peanuts. So like me doing a review on peanut butter,
Yeah.
you shouldn't listen to my review.
Yeah,
Like
well,
you shouldn't come to me.
Yeah.
If you are, again, it was a little bit before you joined us, but like I believe in discourse,
Yeah.
but know your audience. Like I don't need to talk to people who
No.
don't like AEW because I love AEW. So like my conversation isn't about like, do you think Christian wearing a turtleneck is hurting the business? My version of that is like, how great is Christian wearing a turtleneck?
Oh yeah.
Like, it's the same as when people talked about Ghostbusters box office.
Yeah.
A movie makes over $200 million, and there are people being like, well, it's actually, shut up. I don't care. I don't care about Sony's end of the year profit margin. That's not on me. I did my part. I saw the movie 1 billion times.
Yeah.
That's not on me. Did you like it? And if you liked it, what'd you love? You know?
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like it's just people are critics these days, and then they'll go sunk behind their keyboards or their phones and be keyboard warriors about it. It's just like, I was in the wrestling business for over 5 years. I was involved in Ghostbusters Afterlife. I know my shit, but I don't flaunt my shit, But you can either take it from a professional who's done it, or you can form your own opinion. But that's the great thing called life, your own opinion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Is that Venkman's shirt you just threw on?
I didn't throw it on. I was already wearing it. But yes.
Full costume change.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Picks and flannels.
I was like, if I was smart, I'd just have my blue Ghostbusters t-shirt that I wore today. I walked into my kitchen at Belle Reve with my Ghostbusters hat on and my scrubs, and I just walked in and was like, "Happy Ghostbusters Day, everybody!" And they're like,
"Huh?"
"Oh, I work. I work with 17-year-old kids in a kitchen in a senior."
Did you say Belle Reve? Like where Batman? Isn't that like where DC villains go?
Yeah.
Isn't that like the not Gotham Insane Asylum?
Yeah.
Joe, do you not have a real job? Have you been lying to people? And you're like, I work at the Daily Planet with this great guy named Clark.
Yeah. I feel like it. But I get free food at the end of the night, so we're good.
Yeah, it's your kitchen. It's an imaginary job. I bet the food's
And he throws the glasses on.
Yeah,
Listen,
just awesome.
Let's go.
Charlie, they let him out to do the podcast. Let's not look a gift horse in the mouth here. Brought us all together today.
Real quick, I want to hear as I kind of getting close to the end. Everyone's favorite Ghostbuster movies from top to bottom. What is it, 4 now? So top to bottom. Let's start with that.
Well, first of all, there was 5. Excuse me very much.
I like the 2016 movie, but I know a lot of people don't. So I mean,
yeah.
If you want to throw it on there, you're more than welcome.
What does that mean? I get to start? Is that what's happening here? Sure. All right.
It's all you.
I think 1 Afterlife, and then I gotta go 2 Frozen Empire 2016. Now here's the thing. I'm putting 2016 last on the list, but it doesn't. I'm gonna contend that it doesn't mean I hate it. There were parts about it that I liked. There was a lot of good ideas there. I'm not going to pretend it was a perfect film, nor was it a great, perfect Ghostbusters film. but there's stuff about it I liked, and I feel like because of this not so toxic fandom that we were talking about earlier, it's really important that I throw that disclaimer in there that I did enjoy 2016. I had a good time seeing it in the theater. It wasn't until after I went back and watched it a few more times I was like, oh yeah, okay, there's a couple things here I might have done differently if I were in charge. But overall, it was fun. It was funny. It had some good moments, and so that's my top 5.
All right.
Okay, who's next?
You are, since you're talking.
Okay. It goes Ghostbusters 2, Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters Afterlife, 2016, and Frozen Empire.
I'm
Nice.
curious about your GB2 choice. Why, in seriousness, why
Serious?
GB2?
Well, what's your age?
I just turned 40.
Just turned 40. That's the reason why. I'm 38. So what's we're gonna remember, right? Is Ghostbusters 2. So
sure, that's fair.
Yeah. No, I like the serious, like, and this is the weird thing. This is what I find that's different between OG Ghostbuster fans 40 plus is they'll always go with Ghostbusters 1, but people that are born later like Ghostbusters 2 because more serious, and original Ghostbuster fans are like, oh, they completely missed the point. It's too much. I like the seriousness of it.
Yeah.
The other one was a little bit not, and it's the same thing. Like my son is 10, right, and he likes more action and stuff like that. He loves the Phoebe Spangler family timeline, and I'm like the new generation. But it's like if I were to make a Ghostbusters movie, it'd be super serious with a little bit of humor, right? Which completely missed the point and mark for everything. So it's just,
Yeah, I feel like the first one they were Muppets. And in the second one there were stakes.
There's stakes,
like things to stakes. Like there was things that they could lose if they didn't win or whatever. Like
yeah. It's even the villain. Like, and I love Gozer. Gozer's awesome. The dogs were more terrifying than Gozer was, but Vigo, holy shit,
yeah,
just completely scary.
The train still bugs me.
The heads on the spikes.
Yeah.
Heads on the spikes is like one of those scenes that still gets me. Like I'm not scared by it, but it just gets under my skin.
Or the tub full of goo. Right. So it's just like that. That's kind of like the dark scariness that I would like to see more of. But it's just like it's such a touchy subject because I would intertwine it and make it absolutely horrific, like make it scary as shit, and then with humor in it. You have to, right? And it just still is kind of like, it almost feels like we got modern day graphics now and stuff like that, but the storylines are not as scary. Like it's not like oh god, what is it called now? What's that movie where a Paranormal?
Yeah,
like that. You can't see it, but once you finally see it, it's absolutely mortifying. And you have it, like there is stakes on the ground here. People just make it a lot more scarier with the same sort of sense of humor because you got the camaraderie of your friends, which means you get a little bit more courageous. And I think it would hit off really well. But that's the thing. Like I've been on I guess the ledge of do like after this next movie, it's like, are they going to do a full reboot, bring back a whole new cast, but same characters, or what are they planning on doing? So yeah, because we all love original characters.
Yeah. Next up are who wants to go next? Either Li or
Simon, go for it.
Yeah, I was pulling up my ranking that I did a while ago. I mean, of course, number one is going to be original 84. Like, that movie is what brought me into it, and it just captivated me as a kid. And then Afterlife, I'd probably put it number 2, just for the sole fact that it means a lot to me, and I can't watch it without crying, and I've seen the movie about 1 million times. It's just whenever you see Egon's hand reach around Phoebe's at the end, I can't not cry. And then honestly, I'd probably put 2 after Afterlife, just because two feels more like the first one, like more of a continuation, and it's probably the darkest. It's got the scariest moments. And then I'd probably do Frozen Empire after that. I really enjoy Frozen Empire. I didn't as much when I first got out, but I've really come around to it, and I really love it. And then I probably put 2016, and it's not a bad movie. I still enjoy it. It's just unfortunately the weakest of the series for me.
For those of you playing at home, Simon is correct. That is the correct answer to this question. I completely happen to agree with Simon. Again, all opinions are completely valid. The reason for me that my list is tough, at least for the first four Ghostbuster films on it, we're talking about halves of percentage points. Because for me, even though I rank it third, Ghostbusters 2 has, in my opinion, the best ghost busting action. The Scoleri brothers scene is it perfectly encapsulates what these films are when they are fully focused on trying to deliver their goal. It's funny, it's spooky, it's creepy, it's awesome, it has stakes, the music is incredible. For me, I am so jealous of people who really, really enjoy 2016. 2016 features four of my favorite comedians, not female comedians. They're four of my favorite funny people. For me, that movie lives and dies the way all these films live and die. What's on paper? What did the script write out? And for me, the biggest crime of 2016 is those four characters are completely interchangeable. They have lip service to what makes them different, and that never happens. And yet, even if you hate the new Ghostbuster installments, you cannot tell me that Callie doesn't feel different than Phoebe, that doesn't feel different from Lucky, that doesn't feel different from Gooberson, that doesn't feel different from Podcast. I think when Ghostbusters is its best is when it's people you can easily identify and easily identify with. I really do think, again, for me, that's the kind of special sauce. So Simon is correct. We worship at the altar of our youngest, best-haired individual.
I gotta speak on that real fast. So when we went to do Afterlife as a team, the Portland Ghostbusters hosted the release for Afterlife at a couple of theaters here in Portland, and specifically on opening day, we all kind of set a specific time later in the day so that we could spend our afternoon in the theater lobby taking photos and doing the Ghostbuster thing, right? And then we were all gonna go see the movie later. And we kind of split up across a couple different theaters because there was a lot of us. And I remember sitting in Afterlife, seeing it for the very first time, and Podcast is freaking out, going, "Oh my God, I could be anything I want. I could be a DJ." And an entire row of the theater turns and looks at me. And I look right back at all of them and go, "Shut up and watch the movie." And they all laughed and turned back and watched it. The character of, like, I always identified with Venkman, I think because of the snarkiness and the sort of like the witty bullshit that kind of came from Bill Murray as a character and as an actor. So Venkman was always my favorite growing up. But then when they introduced Podcast in Afterlife, and Podcast is like really, really, really uncomfortably accurate for me as a person, then Podcast quickly became a character that I identified with, much in the way that you're talking about, Charlie.
I love that. And I love that as a person who has been with these films, you've been alive as long as this beautiful Ghostbuster journey, and still they were able to be like, "Who's your favorite? Guess again." Yeah. And that is the secret. That is the most beautiful cinematic secret, is Han Solo's my favorite until he's not. And I look forward to the day that someone is able to kind of usurp the it's probably second coolest guy in the galaxy because Lando, but again, Lando doesn't wind up with the coolest princess in the galaxy. So there's just so much magic in it. There's no wrong answer. And how lucky are we, despite the toxicity, despite the strong opinions, despite the bad days. There are nuclear accelerators that we are not registering to the city, county, or state that keep our, again, keep our spines compressed, but our hearts full.
Exactly. It's like for me, the new movie. I love James A. Caster's character. Absolutely love it, and I like Venkman, but that character is like, I want to see more of that.
Yeah, I was hoping to see more of him. Yeah,
that was amazing.
He's my favorite.
Yeah, it's just like I was pleasantly surprised, and I'm like, him, Pattinson's character, podcast, and Ray. I'm like, I need to see more of this. I want to see more of it.
You know what's funny is my wife and I are big fans of that show Taskmaster.
Yeah.
From the UK, and she really took to that show. Like I like that show, but she really, really fell in love with that show and started rewatching it just for background noise and stuff like that. And so when we were kind of like getting ready for the new movie, and I think she caught a trailer or something, she goes, "Oh, James Acaster's in it," and I'm like, "How do you even know who that is?" "Oh, he was on Taskmaster." "Oh, right, of course. That makes perfect sense." And so she saw James Acaster was in it, and like she's already a Ghostbusters fan, so it's not like I had to really sell her that hard on going to see it.
Yeah.
But then she saw that the Acaster was going to be in it, and she's like, "Oh, that's cool. Okay, now I'm like extra sold."
Yeah. Like it's just I don't know what it is about his character, and the humor is like, it's that dark. It's like really annoyed, disheveled Venkman with sprinkles of Egon, and I'm like, I love this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know what helps me listen to the ghosts? Silence.
What about our hosts? What about our damn hosts? I haven't got a list out of either one of you. Come on.
You're being nice. We're being good. We're being good hosts, right, Rain? We're letting people talk.
You don't get out of this.
No.
No. I was gonna say something.
Rain, you go first, then I'll go.
Sure. First, apologize for the brightness all over my face. There's a hole in my window, and that's where all the brightness is coming from. So I'm not normally this shiny. So,
well, he's sparkle.
Well, that's it. We're gonna have to scrap the whole show, guys. Thanks for coming. I guess that's it. We're just done now. The sun decided to come through Rain's window, so we're gonna have to just try again another day.
Maybe tomorrow. Dang it, delay.
Oh gosh, but for me, it's number one. First Ghostbusters. When I was a kid, I saw a shadow person at the house I was living at, and that really got me into the world of paranormal and ghosts. And when I remember being a kid playing with my toys and whatever, and I saw on TV the first trailer or ad for Ghostbusters, and I was like, this movie really spoke to me. It wasn't like the crazy action movies, right? Like Commando was at the time. I think I was 8 years old, and it wasn't. It was just something different, but it was also funny and it was exciting. And I remember seeing I asked my grandparents to take me to go see it, and we saw it. And then I think a week later, I begged my parents to go see it, and we saw it as a double feature with Weird Science, and that will always be my favorite memory. I saw it twice at theater when I was a kid, and so one will always speak to me as first one. Two, I would say it's Afterlife. Also for that, it's I think it brings in a lot of like what the first one kind of had for me. And also, right, the ending scene. I lost my mother to cancer in 2018. And so every time I see that scene with Egon and with the family and all that, it brings tears to my eyes too. I have to not think about it too much or I'll cry. Because that's what I wish I could do with my mom. I wish I could talk to my mom and hug her like that. And it also brings that possibility of like, I'll maybe see her again someday. So Afterlife was just great. I really enjoyed it. Plus, it was a nice departure it was just something different. What I really enjoyed about it. Gosh, number three, it's a tie between Ghostbusters 2 and Frozen Empire. I really loved 2 for the same reasons like you guys were saying. The train scene was amazing. I thought that was great. And yeah, it did have something different, but right, it did have the most kind of montagey ghost busting that you actually saw. Because in 1, you just saw them kind of running out with traps and like, move aside, please. But in 2, you saw them like at the jewelry store where they had all the different lasers, and there was the jogger that was running, and they had like bye bye ghosty, and like that kind of stuff. That was great. You actually got to see bits of ghost busting, which is what we all really wanted to see. I remember when I was a kid. And Frozen Empire, again, really good. I really enjoyed the beginning where you have the Ecto flying down the street and they're like trying to catch the Hell's Kitchen sewer ghost, whatever it was. I was so waiting for a Gordon Ramsay cameo, but okay, I was like, okay. And then we saw like the drone pop out and like, again, more ghost busting, which is what I really, really enjoy, what I want. And that was just really great. Love 2016. I know a lot of people don't like it. I think it's the same. I think it's great for what it brings, and there's lots of great equipment. I've built props like this one's the ghost chipper from that movie. Gosh, Kate McKinnon just really brings that character of Holtzman, and a lot on the team call me Holtzman since I'm the one that builds a lot of the props and equipment. I am the prop and uniform coordinator, so they call me a lot of Holtzman. And it was good, but you're right. It felt a little bit lacking. There were certain things that held it back, I feel, but it's still a great movie on its own. Actually get a lot of, mostly what the guys tell me when I'm out is, oh, I hated 2016, and something that I enjoy kind of pointing out, because my own son doesn't care for 2016, but I kind of turn it around. If you look and you're into the multiverse, I always like to say that it exists in a multiverse. Yeah. So that way it's not so much as retconning and trying to like do what one did better, but I think it exists in the multiverse because the fact that you have the original characters are in it, so they're still tied to that story, but they're not in those positions because these, in a different universe, these women are in the same positions that they were. So it's a different reality. And then I usually get people to go, I never thought of it that way. I'm like, right. So, I mean, they can still exist in the same plane. So it doesn't have to be like 2016 is overtaking one or that it's better than one. It just exists in a different reality. And so that's usually an argument that I like to bring that usually seems to get some people to turn around on it because it's not a bad movie on a whole. But I get it how people thought that because it was a reboot, that it was going to take it over and that it was something different, it was changing what we loved about the first one. And I get that. But at the same time, I, really enjoyed it too. But then people wanted to put a whole feminine spin on it and stuff like that. So
some of these Ghostbusters fans are out here not reading the comics, and it shows.
Yeah.
Right.
So true. Like it's the 2016 is so like the IDW Comics 101. Awesome. It's right there. It's everything that we need in a movie. That'd be so great, deliciously great, actually. So,
I mean, I was really hoping. I thought it was going to be like their daughters taking it over or something like that, but it wasn't. It ended up not being that. But
I think it would get a lot less criticism if it was even if it was a reboot fully. If they were like, but it's in Chicago, where they film. Like, all you needed is one more degree of separation. Yeah, and I think they held on too tightly to what it was and disregarded the wrong stuff. Like the audacity of trying to change the Ecto siren. You could change the car. Yeah. We all know what the Ecto siren sounds like. Yeah, I tell you, it sings to my heart.
Yeah. I don't know that much about New Yorkers, but I know they're not very opinionated.
No, just do the Wilhelm scream on loop.
That also works. I'll allow
that. Now it's me and my turn. I think for me, I have to add another number to my top 6. I would say 2016 is number 6 on because it may have not been the same universe, but it was a different take on this story, but it was a different bad guy from a different timeline that the people would know. Different types of jokes that some of the guys didn't get, but it's a different Ghostbusters story. They all, in the end, they all did the same thing. They saved the world. Number 5 would be Afterlife because, again, as Rain says, there's always something that's in your heart that you may have lost somebody, and in the end, you don't realize they're there the whole time trying to help you. Because like me, I lost my grandmother in 2008, and it still hits me because when I watch baseball, she's not there to help me and sit next to me and watch it. And the other thing is because I started this whole podcast journey with wrestling on the memories of my grandfather, and I always feel that by me talking about professional wrestling and telling them about my grandfather Jose Quinones, his angel wings fluff up a little more every time I talk about him, and it helps me cope with not being able to meet him, be able to physically hug him and talk to him, and tell him how much he means to me within professional wrestling.
Yeah.
It really, that scene of Phoebe Egon helping her aim the gun and shoot the ghost make me go, wow, that's beautiful, the touch.
Yeah.
But Afterlife is 5. 4 is Frozen Empire, because that movie real as another take on the Ghostbusters lore, and it brings a little horror into it that we never thought. We already, because Slimer and all the guys and bad guys were scary. Vigo was creepy. He had this. We never thought of New York City in the summertime, freezing like it freezing to the point that people were shattering like a glass window.
Yeah.
Like, not just, oh look, that person's frozen. They're gonna be like, the whole movie they just shatter. You go to touch them, they shatter. 3, yeah, 4. 4 was Empire, Frozen Emperor. 3 would be Ghostbusters 2, because Ghostbusters 2 is just something in it that it just had a different take with Vigo and the River of Slime, and the guys kind of like doing their own thing after the first movie, and they did their own things. They didn't show the containment unit. They should have.
Yeah.
2 would be the original Ghostbusters, because why not? Because it's always good. And 1, it's kind of funny. It's not in the Ghostbusters movies, but I would say number 1 for me would be the cartoon Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters, because it gave you other bad guys you never ever thought you would see in your lifetime as a child. Seeing the boogeyman, being able to meet the Halloween ghost, being able to see all these crazy and creepy ghosts from all these different creations that Dan Aykroyd came up on in his head, and all these people got ideas from Dan Aykroyd, from all these cartoons and Harold Ramis, like, to bring this stuff to life, but as a cartoon. That's just amazing that we all share this love for this franchise for now 40 years.
40 years, yeah.
Wow. 40 years.
Well, except Simon.
Except poor Simon just got dumped again.
Time.
What do you mean, poor Simon?
years.
He's gonna outlive all of us.
But that's what it speaks about this franchise, is the fact that it can talk to a younger generation and they still love it just as much as we did when we were his age.
Oh, yeah.
I have every expectation that Simon's gonna be busting my fat ass around Portland someday. So
I like that you're planning to
you in a
haunt
wheelchair.
Portland.
Yeah, I know, right?
you don't get to pick where you haunt, man. It's just wherever your unfinished business is, right?
As I'm dying, I'm going to drive to Jersey. What's one more Jersey ghost?
How many ghosts are in Jersey? If you put ecto, I live on the border of New York, Pennsylvania, and Jersey. I put my ecto goggles and just look over the bridge. I'm gonna be like, oh, fuck, and just run back to Milford. Actually add that in my story. Like, I just randomly walk over the bridge and just look over, and I'm like, nope, not going over there. And just walk back to the Milford. It's nice over there. It's quiet in the Poconos.
Before we call it a day, there was one more story I wanted to share with everybody.
Okay.
And this goes back to I already kind of called out the Portland Ghostbusters doing the premiere here in town for Afterlife, and one of the members of our team, who's an incredible prop maker and cosplayer in his own right, had come over to my house to help me put together a 3D printed set of ecto goggles I had made. They're up there somewhere. You probably can't see them in the camera shot just the way it sits now. But next to my trap, I've got a pair of ecto goggles that you can slide a working camera into. And I had found these online, and they were just loosely based on the couple screenshots we got from the trailer that was going around. And so I printed them up, and my buddy Michael came over and helped me paint them and sand them and prime them and do all the stuff to, inhale the fumes in my garage and whatnot to get them working. And so I took them to the premiere. And it was like one person after another was coming by to get photos with the team. Everybody was in uniform and stuff. And so, we were taking photos of people, and we were, introducing ourselves to people, handing out business cards and stickers and doing the whole Ghostbuster team thing for the premiere. And then I had one person that comes by and goes, "Oh my God, are those the new ecto goggles?" And I was like, "Yeah, they're not a perfect replica, but the camera works." And she goes, "They work? You've got to take my picture." And I was like, "Yeah, obviously, like that's why they're here. Of course I will take your picture." So I took a picture, and and it spits it takes a second because it's, it's not an instant camera, but it, spits the little printed picture out the side, and I hand it to her.
It's a thermal printer that in a Polaroid camera.
Yeah, basically. And she's freaking out because, her, I guess her brother or somebody had shown her the trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife, and she was super stoked for it. And was not expecting to go to the theater on opening day, meet a Ghostbusters team that's based locally in Portland, and for someone on that team to have a working set of goggles. And so, because I made that one person's night, the other, couple hundred people that walked by us and couldn't give two shits about my working ecto goggles, all of a sudden, none of it mattered because I made one person's night. And I think that's the kind of story that even working as a DJ, working in entertainment and doing club gigs and doing big events and doing all that stuff that I do as a professional entertainer, it doesn't matter that I was in Ghostbusters uniform that night, that I was there volunteering my time, doing some charity work, doing some promo work, for ostensibly a movie ticket. That was my fee, right? Was a ticket to go see the movie. And absolutely none of that mattered because that, in all of my years, decades of working in entertainment professionally, that's got to be one of my favorite stories, and I wasn't even getting paid to be there. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I love that.
Nice. That's great.
Before we go, I actually have a video to play. So, here we go.
Oh, God. Oh.
Yeah, that's our team.
Love it.
And
That's
then
just
we
a
have
small
one more.
portion of it.
Again, she's the Grand Marshal of the 2024 Starlight Parade, founder and CEO of the Sports Bra, Jenny Land, the true definition of what it means to dream forward. The Sports Bra's mission is to make great food, delicious drinks, and provide a space that supports, empowers, and promotes girls and women in sports.
It seems like this has been the year of women's sports, has it not? The last 3 months? Wow. Hey, we got the Portland Ghostbusters here.
A little bitty Ghostbusters.
Uh-oh.
Asleep.
Who are you going to call? Well, if you want to volunteer your time and talent to serve the community and organizations such as the Autism Society or Make-A-Wish or Lupus Foundation, Dornbecker Children's Hospital, more, you need to call the Ghostbusters.
Look, they already caught a alien.
They do have one back there.
Or a ghost, I guess. Not an alien, it's a ghost.
They were established back in 2012. They're a donation-based charity cosplay organization. They participate, they volunteer. Basically, they are doing community service in many different organizations around the area. Boy, they did capture them right there.
Oh, the scary one.
What are those weapons?
Oh, I love the little one in the wagon sound asleep, even with all the noise and the fun around.
After 3 miles.
Just out, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I love it.
That was so much fun, and that's what I love about Ghostbusters. You guys get together wearing khaki flight suits that don't breathe and go to a parade and make children's day. You don't even have to shoot a wand out. You just stand there going, and they're like, "That's me."
I was in that parade. Simon was too, and that was last week Saturday, the Starlight Parade, and the most amazing thing when you're walking down the street and there were so many people and it felt like you're in the movie and they were all screaming Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters. And in my pack, I was playing the Alisi Brothers song "Saving the Day," and it's never felt like I've ever been in a movie ever before, and that was just so amazing. And then we had the Ecto that was rolling behind us. That was such an amazing moment, and yeah, that was really cool.
So how big is that parade?
It was huge. Yeah, it was really big. It encompassed like 5, 6 different like full size streets, and we were like zigzagging up and down.
Oh, okay.
It was I think the parade length altogether was like 4 hours long.
I believe
we
it's
were
the.
like,
I was just gonna call out. I think it's the second or third biggest parade in Portland.
yeah,
Behind the Rose Festival parade. So I think they get somewhere on the order of like 100 to 200,000 people that show up for this.
Yeah.
it's like a Disneyland electric parade. It's only at night, and there's nothing but lights. Our whole team was all decked out and like lighting and LEDs, and we were lit.
Yeah.
The only one that we have up here in Calgary is the Stampede Parade, and there's about 200 to 300,000 people. And then with Alberta Ghostbusters, we've done the parade about 3 times now, and exactly the same thing as you're describing happens, and it's just like my mind spaces out, and I'm like, go straight into performer mode, wrestling, heckling the crowd, being like, "You're all lovely," especially you in the back there with the glasses. And you just interact with them, and it's such a, by the time you're done that parade route, you're exhausted because it's like what was it, 20 city blocks long. It's massive.
That was unfortunately that was another one of those I couldn't make it to. So yeah, I had another thing I was contracted for. But man, I am so proud of this team. And the not only did they show up and show out in a big bad way for this parade, but we have an Ecto on the team.
Yeah.
And all of the extra sort of add-on LED lighting and stuff that they did just for the parade, I guess, burned up the alternator on this 61 Cadillac that we've got.
No, because so the light bar that's on the actual Ecto is like original, like 80s style light bar, and the way he has it wired it up, because we didn't do anything really extra for it, but the way it was wired up with the constant lights and the siren and all that, it was just too much power draw for the alternator to keep up, and so the battery just ended up dying.
Yeah,
but and the Ecto died like literally half a block from where that TV spot was where we were all walking. So you didn't see that because like 10 cops helped us out and pushed the Ecto down the street just off to the side right before all the TV cameras were at. It was like we were hoping, because we got to a point we were parked and we were kind of waiting for the parade to move forward, and we tried to jump the car, and I was like so hoping for that moment, but didn't happen. But we probably pushed it up like 2 blocks uphill, this huge ass 62 Cadillac Superior that's over like 6,000 pounds up the street to get there.
The only reason why I bring up the Ecto thing is because I'm not a violent person. I don't like to pick fights online. But I saw a comment, I think it was either yesterday or today, on the Ghostbusters Mania group on Facebook. And somebody was at the parade in Portland saying, "Hey, there was an Ecto," because they saw the pictures of the Ecto rolling around in New York and LA, and somebody was posting about it. And somebody said, "Hey, there was an Ecto in the parade last week in Portland." And then made some snarky remark about the Ecto breaking down in the middle of the parade.
Oh.
And oh boy, did I come this close to just ripping that guy a new a-hole. I didn't, because I don't want to represent my team that way. But man, that car is such a labor of love, and took so much work and time and money and sweat and blood and tears just to make that thing roll. And I'm so proud of my team for handling that situation the way that they did. So that's the only reason I wanted to bring it up, is like I was proud of my team before, but after hearing what happened and seeing the way that they handled it, like I'm as proud as I've ever been. So
yeah, that poor the original owner Paul, like, it was rust bucket, and it's still, and it's a work in progress, but finding all the parts and all the stuff for this car is very expensive, and it's just people don't really understand that. They just think like we have tons of money and we can just throw in and make the car run. And it's like, no. It costs a lot. He's got a huge crack on the front windshield when he got the car, but it's glass from 1962. So it's curved and you can't get glass like that.
They just don't make them.
Right. So I mean, he has to have especially like form fitted glass to professionally made. And it's $6,000 just for a new friggin' front windshield. People don't really understand that, and all the parts for it's the original. I think it's the 360 V8 that's in the car and 2-speed auto glide transmission. And it's like that stuff is really hard to find for the fact that it was a hearse, not the ambulance version. But it wasn't like like a Ford Mustang. We could find parts readily available for it. So trying to source those original parts and get it fixed up it's a labor of love.
Don't forget everybody in the chat. Thank you everybody for commenting. So cool. I'm sorry if I'm not highlighting all your comments, but please don't forget to push the subscribe button because that really helps us a lot. And if you haven't already, go on Twitch. Follow us on Twitch under the Ghost Head. It's Ghost Head Nerds. It's a complicated name. I tried to make it
easy. Do you not know the name of your own show?
No, he doesn't.
Ghost Head Nerd Talk 84 is on Twitch. It's very complicated to say on Twitch because you have to put it as one word. It's really hard to do because Twitch, they don't let you put space out words. So it's like Ghost Head Nerd Talk 84. And that's what it is on Twitch. Don't forget to subscribe because it really helps us out. And we don't always go live, but this, as he said the last episode, this is going to be a weekly thing now. So like we'll have somebody else. We'll do a top. We're actually next few episodes we'll be doing like some top 5s of like 80s and 90s things. So if any of you gentlemen want to return and join us on panel for some 80s love, not just Ghostbusters, we're doing some 80s fun like things what me and Rain have been working on. So if you guys interested in coming back, just let me know. The 80s and 90s is my thing. And as you know, Mr. Long Island Ghostbuster, I grew up on Long Island. I remember going to Bayshore Mall, the Smith Haven Mall, and just sitting there looking at the stores, going to Sam Goody and all the places like that. And then I told me and my mom were talking about 80s restaurants, and you would probably remember it, Big Barry's. Are you old enough to remember a restaurant at Big Barry's?
I don't think so.
It's a cowboy-themed restaurant that I was obsessed with Big Barry because I'm little, and he was a little man that owned like this cowboy restaurant. And look him up online. Look up watch the video on YouTube. It's hilarious.
And I do want to apologize that we kicked you out of Long Island. We're so New York people, but we can't just allow everybody to stay in the most magical land in the world.
Yeah, I had to go to the most bland. I had felt like Will Smith, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I felt like that. I got one little fight, and my mom got scared, so she sent me to live in the Poconos. The Fresh Prince of the Poconos. That's what I like
it. Joe, before we get out of here, do you mind if I shill something?
Yes, sure. Uh-oh.
The Long Island Ghostbusters have teamed up with CP Nassau. They're currently one of Long Island's strongest groups that work with cerebral palsy. A tremendous amount of cost goes into making sure that people can kind of be self-sufficient when cerebral palsy is something that affects them. CP Nassau does a ton of amazing things, but I don't believe that you shouldn't get something if you give something, right? So now through July 19th, if you donate at least $10 to the Long Island Ghostbusters, every penny of that is going to go towards CP Nassau, but you could walk away with either a HasLab Proton Pack and Wand, the brand new HasLab PKE once it's released, or the brand new HasLab Ghost Trap. I was lucky enough to see the PKE and Ghost Trap today at the headquarters for Ghostbusters Day. The wonderful people from Hasbro were kind of there letting us poke, prod, and ask them questions. But $10 gets you entered. Again, we have a little bit of time before it's drawn, but every penny goes to CP Nassau. Again, you can find all of our stuff, LI Ghostbusters, on social media. And that's all I wanted to mention. So if you want to be like this amazing group here and potentially make your HasLab pack look just like a movie prop, you'll certainly have that opportunity for a little bit less than the aftermarket is currently kind of letting people walk away with those proton packs. So LI Ghostbusters, $10 gets you into the giveaway. and we'd appreciate any support, even if it's just sharing the posts.
That's right, Charlie. And tell them about the hot beverage mugs and the
Where's my Ghostbuster mug? I used to have it. Oh, I brought it to work. It's in my locker. But I
That
do
was
have
perfect. That was
but
perfect.
I do have a free Ghostbusters mug.
Nice.
Because I became like photo op boy. They were like, "Do you want to take a picture with the cup?" And I was like, "Sure." And then I was cheap boy. I was like, "Can I have it?" And the girl's like, "Do I get a free drink?" And she's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Did we be just best friends?" Free soda. The movie
Yes.
would have been $10. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming in. This was so fun. Again, happy
Our longest show ever right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, don't forget to support my fellow Ghostbusters. Ooh, what's up,
I'll
Mr. Ted?
for that belt.
Gonna come out of retirement? Let's do this.
I'll be still in retirement because it's going to be so easy. Okay. Hey.
I'll be referee. Oh God, Rain, you could be the announcer. I could be the referee. We could do. Oh my God, we could do a huge charity thing. Rain.
Sunday.
Rain comes back comes to New York. Rain could be the announcer. I could be the commentator in the booth.
Simon and DJ Switch are gonna be my muscle though. Like the old school New Japan Bullet Club.
Sure. Yeah, definitely not going to grab a chair, smack you both in the back of the head, steal the belt, and run. That's not my MO at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Rain will be like, "I don't watch wrestling. This is serious. Come and call the ambulance."
My back. Ooh, my knees and back.
I'll be in the booth like, I'm just here. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Who's got the other really nice Ghostbusters belt? The one that came out like a year or two ago.
I'm not sure, but now I have to wrestle them for that.
I've seen the one you're talking about. I know who you're talking about. I just can't remember his name right at the top of my head. But the minute I saw that thing, I immediately was like, "Oh my God, where do I get that made?"
I'm like, I'll wrestle you. I will take that from you. I will be like the dirtiest player in the game.
I'm not saying I found the company that made the belt and then figured out how much they paid to have it made and then debated whether or not it was worth the cost to actually get one made for us. I'm not going to say I didn't do that either.
Okay.
I'm not saying that. It's like $300, man. Like you can get a belt made for a lot less than you'd think.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's as much as a deluxe version from WWE or AEW, right? So,
I mean, less than a proton pack's going for these days, unless you go to Charlie's raffle and buy a ticket to be able to win the grand prize.
I'm buying my ticket after this.
That's right. And selfless plug here, TikTok Ghostbuster on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. I support all fellow charities like Ghostbuster Charlie's charity over here. Go Joe, DJ Switch. Alberta Ghostbusters, selfless plug there. They are amazing, outstanding individuals that do great charity work up here in Canada. So that's all I got.
Yeah, don't forget to support every one of us here in the Instagram. You won't be able to find Ghostbusters because Ghostbusters in Pike County, some reason got zoned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
TikTok Ghostbuster, I followed you. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on the channel, man. I like what you're doing. Charlie, I need you to come find me on social so we can connect because I think you and I got more to talk about.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Word.
And the other two, I know you guys. I'll see you at the next meeting. That's fine.
Well, thank you all. Just want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. As always, Rain.
Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you. This was so much fun. We'll got to do some more of this. I'm Ghostbuster Joe.
And I'm Ray.
I'm Switch, I guess.
TikTok Buster.
I'm Simon.
And I'm the best Ghostbuster in the world! Damn it!
And just remember, us ghost heads have a lot to talk about. Good night, everybody.